Imagine Retroville under alien rule. The very yolk of our nightmares has come. King Goobot V's yolk-like legions have won. That's right, the egg yolk aliens from Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, didn't just hatch Poltra and flap away. They stuck around, grabbed Earth by the feathers, and gone full-on dictator. For newcomers, in the original 2001 movie, Jimmy's bedroom satellite opera signals the Yolkians to Retroville. The next morning, all the parents, except for the tiny Miss Fowl, are gone.
Just as I thought, there are absolutely no adults anywhere within radar.
Spirited off by the yolk-headed aliens. Naturally, the kids freak out. At first, they party like it's no chore day, then panic when they realise they miss their mum and dad.
I want my mommy too!
Jimmy, he rallies a homemade space fleet, chases the aliens to the chicken god's lair, busts out the enormous Poltra from her egg, and saves the day. In the real timeline, Jimmy even morphs himself into a planet-sized genius and obliterates Goobot's ship. Goobot survives the brood, and Earth goes back to normal. Earlier in the film, Jimmy said,
"It will work! I'm 95% sure it will."
But what if that 5% came to fruition? Jimmy's plan blew up in his face. What if that final shrink ray had malfunctioned? Or, contrary to Jimmy's desperate efforts, he couldn't steal the mind control remote. And after those dreadful TikTok dances, the sacrifice went through. In short, what if the Yolkians actually conquered Earth? We're diving down the rabbit hole, and we're taking science with us. On the morning after abduction, Jimmy and friends make the classic party then panic scene. But, as we discussed in our alternate reality, the great save never happens, and that panic turns to a very real reality. In the real movie timeline, we can see from Jimmy's lab, which is a buzzing hive of genius, full of whirring machines, floating gadgets and mad scientist chaos, just how clever Jimmy really is. Using his time wisely as always, I see. But the Yolkians prove they're crafty cheaters. In the Empire Strikes Back TV special, which is a direct sequel to the film, we see a scrappy rebellion on the run, Han gets iced, Luke plays Swamp Boot Camp with a frog wizard, then plot twist, Darth Vader chops his hand off. Oh, my bad, wrong universe. Right, let's see what I've got here. Jimmy found out that Goobot had literally broke into his lab and now he can't access his inventions. Goobot actually stole Jimmy's DNA regenerator and other gear to resurrect Poltra from a toenail of hers, who knew Goobot had a foot thing. Yuck. So, in a world where the alien invasion persists, we can bet that Yolkians would cut off Jimmy's tech early, snatching shrinking rays, batteries, and even Ultra Lord comic issues if it hinders him. Basically, Jimmy's already playing egg catch in a high wire act, and suddenly someone leans on the trap door. No tech, no space race. Even a blameless Jimmy can't flub his lines forever. Soon, the infected lab gear begins to send signals. The Yolkians terrorise the skies with their chicken-shaped rooster ships. Think Star Wars, but if the Empire flew poultry-themed warships. Schools locked down, kids locked inside classrooms. The teeny Miss Fowl clings to her worm as earthbound news outlets blare, "Forget Tomorrowland, get shelter." With the parents gone, Jimmy's toys confiscated, King Goobot's forces roll out the full takeover. In the film's finale, Goobot strapped mind control helmets onto every captured adult. In our timeline, he wouldn't stop there. First move, slap those bad boys on the kids too. However, the helmets didn't send them to sleep like the adults. They reprogrammed them. Kinda like what we saw in Season 1, Episode 1, where Jimmy makes himself stupid. One by one, children blinked, smiled, carried on. But the glow in their eyes and the way they obeyed tiny cues told another truth. They were conscious puppets, still walking, still skipping school, but not free. Not by a long shot. Even bigger, the Yolkians had a far worse weapon up their sleeves. In the movie, they explicitly planned to feed humanity to their chicken god Pultra. Off screen, the aliens were building a planetary brain drain cannon to suck up every ounce of human intellect. If somehow, even a few kids managed to escape the helmets, oh boy, this cannon would have seen them. Can I get a clean up on aisle 4, please? So now that Earth is temporarily under Yolk rule, governments, gone. Military, gone. Police, gone. Who runs a country with no grown-ups? The trope, who watches the Watchmen, flips to, who watches the children? Pretty much no one. All of our high-functioning nerds are off-world or unconscious under helmets. So, the kids are on their own. Maybe Robot Dog Goddard is all that's unsnoozing. Alright, so the Yolkheads are firmly in charge. Now, what happens on the home front? In practice, everyday life goes absurdly off the rails. After the initial lockdown, kids eventually roam free. Yolkians only cared about parents. No curfews, no chores, just 3rd grade forever. On day 1 of this nightmare, Carl Weezer declares a permanent no homework day. Sheen fires up a makeshift rocket to find Ultralord, and Libby gets first crack at the community peanut butter supply. Cindy Vortex, ever the strategist, wouldn't simply join the party, she'd be concocting ways to outwit the regime. Or at least bargaining for extra video game time. Now, for all you Debbie doubters out there, doubting this could ever even happen, I defer you to Exhibit A, Jimmy Neutron, Eggspire Strikes Back. In that special episode, the Retroville townsfolk fell for the Yolkians' lies and gifts.
Ha! Nice try, outer space nicks. It's gonna take a lot more than a few shiny trinkets to make us forget about... Ooh, nice duck.
They literally threw a giant egg-themed picnic, completely mocking Jimmy for warning them.
You'll spend the rest of the morning warning people to stay away from the picnic, but no one will listen.
Without Jimmy's heroic saviour, life's little mysteries don't just get weird, they get downright clucked up. Yep, that's with a C and an L, YouTube. Who's grading your homework now? Or flicking on the streetlights at dusk? And picture this adorable little apocalypse. Little Goddard, barking orders at blinking machines. Ah, who's a good boy saving humanity? Now, on the cosmic scale, you better believe other aliens are tuning in like a brand new episode of Squid Game just dropped. The Jimmyverse implies that Yolkians aren't isolationists, and are even on good terms with other races, popping up in cameos like Win Losing Kaboom. Imagine a Reptar-inspired chicken crusade where heroic aliens from across the stars... Oh, get lost, Anakin! This isn't your redemption arc. As I was saying, heroic aliens, lasers blazing to free us from Yolk tyranny, or, get this, Sheen Estevez, now Emperor of Xenu, as we see in his own spin-off, could crash land back on Earth, armed to the gills with superpowered Slurpees, but knowing Sheen, he'd probably space out and forget the whole liberation thing. Cut to Yolkus, the slimy homeworld HQ, where King Goobot is toasting his conquest like a villain at a victory brunch. Mwahaha, we've claimed Earth and Pultra can finally have a well-deserved buffet. Meanwhile, the idiot sidekick, that is, Oobla, bumbles around, binge-watching Friends and How I Met Your Mother, fantasising over Earth's soap operas. Alright, speculators, before we wrap this extravaganza of an episode, it's time for the ultimate reality check. Could this what-if nightmare have ever became a reality? Step aside, because we're about to explore the in-universe logic and seeing if this new rebellion could really crack under that Yolk pressure. Spoiler alert, the odds aren't looking sunny side up for humanity. So, in the Jimmyverse logic, permanent defeat just doesn't compute. Think about it. When does Jimmy ever truly suffer? Jimmy's oversized nerd brain is basically a plot armor generator. Without Jimmy's gadgets, humanity's cooked. The kid's brain might be huge, but without a gizmo in hand, he's basically a walking calculator. Every win Jimmy's ever had comes from his tech, shrink rays, rocket packs, brain blasts, not brawn or luck. Take those away, and who's stopping the Yolkians? Miss Fowl? Please. Even if she did slay the Great Caterpillar of 01, one tiny teacher versus a giant chicken god isn't exactly a fair fight. And the truth? It's ugly. Yolkians already came this close to global domination. Their whole plan built on mass sacrifice and paltry worship. It took one lucky growth ray to flip the script and save humanity. Strip that away, and everyone's on the menu. So yeah, the yolks of victory would be on them this time. Earth becomes a planet-wide shrine to Paltra herself. Meanwhile, no one left to even change a light bulb. Unless some lost gadget survived, maybe that DNA ray, humanity's permanently under the yolk rule. But hey, that's sequel bait. Whether you're relieved or horrified, one thing's clear. If the Yolkians win, breakfast and the world will never be the same. I'm out.